Hello my loves, welcome into this video for the full moon in Scorpio solar eclipse. This video is for you if this eclipse is happening in your 5th house, meaning you have Cancer rising, and or 14 degrees 58 minutes of Scorpio shows up in your 5th house. If you have not already watched the introduction to this reading and you want to learn more about what it is we're doing in this reading, you can watch the introduction linked in the description and popping up on YouTube. So the houses in the Zodiac story represent where things happen for us in our lives. So this is where this full moon eclipse is happening for you. And the area of our lives that the 5th house represents is the house of creativity. It's ruled by the 5th sign of the Zodiac, which is Leo. So this is the area of our life dealing with pleasure, hobbies, fun, games, and first child. So this is where in your life you're going to see this energy of the full moon influencing you. You can also keep in mind that any planets that you have in Scorpio, if you're using the whole house system, are expressing in this 5th house. So not only do you have Scorpio energy in your 5th house, this is true for all of you, which means that the energy of passion, magic, observation, determination, resourcefulness, all of that is present in this house of creativity for you. But if you have any planets in this house, you also have the expressions of those planets to work with within this energy and this area of your life as well. I like to just teach a little bit more about the way that this all works together. So if that was confusing to you, just let it go, okay? It's just a little bit of extra information that some people may find valuable, but you don't have to understand to get value out of this reading. So we're going to find out from the Light Seer Tarot what affirmation is going to guide you for the next 6 months. And we're going to connect back to how that relates to your house of creativity, but also how that relates to being free from the human condition. So if you have not already closed your eyes, taken a few deep breaths, and opened your heart to receive the guidance most aligned for you at this time, here's your invitation to do that. You can call in any spiritual support that you want to. I just ask that they be here in unconditional love and support of you and the highest good of all. Interesting. I promise I shuffled in between this and the last reading, but this is the card that just came through. I like extra shuffled too. So it just means this is your card. Here's your affirmation. In a second, I'll show it to you so you can pause the video if you want to write it down. I connect into this sacred siblinghood and into this expansive experience of witnessing through time. Interesting. Give me a moment here. So it feels like you're involving a group of people in your creative expressions, in your hobbies, in your fun and games. You might even be having a reconciliation with your first child or with your parent, and you're representing the first child energy in that dynamic, if you are the first child. So there's this beautiful message with this card, and I'm really just going to share with you what came up in the last reading with this card. The siblinghood is the brothers and sisters of humanity, which include our parents, which include our children, which include our peers. And the sacredness of it comes from understanding the human condition. When we are free from the human condition, we are free to love and connect with our human family in a way that's extremely expansive and in a way that we are witnessing through the unfolding of time, and we haven't experienced this as a species yet. There's so much beauty coming, my friends. There's so much pleasure to be had. There's so much collaboration, cooperation, and connection that is going to unfold and bring us into such a sacred siblinghood as a species that the beauty of it is almost beyond our imagining, but we have to keep it in our focus and in our imaginations in order to see it manifest. So how can we offer this deep love and connection to the members of our human family who have hurt us the most, who have done the unspeakable, who have acted in ways that we cannot accept, we cannot forgive, and we cannot love? Because that's what it's going to take to connect as a human family. We can't leave anybody out. And that is difficult to hear. But as a Cancer rising, you know, your whole thing is about family. Like, Cancer's most important thing is family. And typically they only let a few people inside of their tough shell. Only a few people get to see that soft, squishy interior that the Cancers offer. But Cancer risings, particularly, I think this came through in your Aries new moon reading too, the solar eclipse part 2. I feel like I was speaking to you as a Cancer rising on this energy as well. Like, your sense of family is expanding. You're seeing the whole human family as your family. And how can you let those who have just been so destructive, so angry, so competitive, so egotistical, how can you let them into your family? How can you love them? How can you bring them into your fun and games and your sense of pleasure? And how can you create with them? Well, you do so through understanding the human condition. So what the understanding of the human condition does for us is to understand our shadows that have developed in response to the human condition, so that we can understand these shadows in other people that have developed, and we can forgive, and we can allow ourselves to open our hearts compassionately to these people and offer space for them to understand their own shadows, and for them to join into the siblinghood of love and cooperation and collaboration. Okay, to give them that choice. But they have to join the siblinghood. They have to want to act cooperatively, selflessly, and lovingly. They have to know that this is their instinctual truth in order for us to really trust them. So for right now, your goal for the next 6 months, and your goal is to be creative and have fun with this, okay? To really bring this into your expression, okay? And to bring it to groups, because the 3 energy is always about groups. So how can you use understanding the human condition to understand your own shadow? Okay, well, all of the things that you've done in your life that you haven't been proud of have been in response to the trauma caused to you by the human condition. Again, the human condition is living in a cooperative, competitive, greedy, selfish, destructive, egotistical world, when we are instinctually expecting a cooperative, loving, caring, selfless, nurturing, giving world. And when we didn't experience that from 0 to 6 in our home and in the outer world, we created shadows. We responded to that with behavior that we thought was protecting us, might have actually been protecting us, and with shadows. So the best example I can use is myself, right? It's just the best place for me to start and relate to you. So what happens when we don't experience this love in our home or in our outer world that we expect is we start to question whether or not it's happening because we're not worthy. And then when that happens, we start to seek validation from the outside world. Please, outside world, give me love, give me attention, give me affection so that I know I'm worthy. For me, my source of validation has traditionally been a significant other. And when that relationship with a significant other is threatened by an outside source, I go into my shadow mode. I get angry, I get competitive, I get jealous, I get manipulative, I go on the attack. And that's what I mean with understanding the shadow. And although I've kept that in check and it hasn't been too terrible. I've only destroyed like a few people's lives. You know, it's still my shadow, and I can still see how that energy is playing out in the outer world. Like celebrities are validation seeking kings and queens, right? They are the epitome of validation seeking, but that's socially acceptable. But it's still how they seek validation. And the people behind bars, they've been coping with the trauma of the human condition in ways that aren't socially acceptable and harmful to the good of the whole, and they've been put behind bars. But the celebrity and the prisoners are, and ourselves, are all part of the siblinghood. We're all equally worthy. We're all equally innocent souls on an instinctual level that just want love, cooperation, and collaboration. And we've been dealing with the trauma of not living in that environment our entire lives. We've all been coping with it different ways. We've all been seeking relief from that pain in different ways. And it's time to compassionately see each other through this lens. Okay? And you're going to have fun with this. Okay? There's such a beautiful aspect to the 5th house. It's such a fun house. It's like the most fun house. It's the creative expression. So I feel over the next 6 months, you're really going to be inspired to creatively offer yourself in this way and to support games and activities that help with the understanding of the human condition, that help mend these wounds, that help us see our own shadows and forgive the shadows in ourselves and in our human family, so that we can connect in sacred siblinghood. And the more people who understand this material, and the more people who understand how they've been acting out of a shadow because of a response to the human condition, and they're actively working on that shadow aspect, they're actively working to not be competitive, greedy, manipulative, selfish, and egotistical, those are like the people you can let inside your shell, the soft squishiness of you. But you can still open your heart to forgive through understanding others who maybe aren't quite ready to release that shadow. Okay? Let me know how this resonates. Let me know if you have questions. And as always, namaste. The universal light within me salutes and honors the universal light within you. Namaste.